Hi everybody, how's it going? I wanted to talk to you about some records I got from SST recently that I thought had several interesting things about them. So I finally got my hands on a copy of Zen Arcade. Had this in my older collection when I was younger and haven't had this forever now. And it's been out of stock through SST for many years and finally came back in stock and I jumped on it. So I got Zen Arcade, and it's a lot of interesting things about it. So one is they're still using the high quality tip-on jacket, like always. So that's great. And so then I take the record out and notice the sleeves. And anybody recognize these sleeves? That's right, kids. This is an RTI pressing. They're using RTI now, which is a huge step up. They had used Rainbow for years. Rainbow notorious for their noisy records. So big improvement there. And then I was very curious then about the mastering. Like, what's the deal? And you look here at the runouts, and this is like you ever see like an old cartoon and someone goes traveling and they come back and they got a suitcase and it's got stickers from all over the world. That's what this runout looks like. It's got stamps from all over the place. But the critical thing is there's still a K-disc stamp in there, meaning that they are still using the original cut of this album. The 1984 lacquers that were cut, they are still ultimately using that cut. That's just unbelievable to me. So like there's something that's like coded for Rainbow here, so that's where they must have made the father. So for anyone unfamiliar, so the first, how do you make a record? You got a recording, you got to turn it into a disc with grooves, and so someone's got to make that first disc with grooves. That thing is called a lacquer that is cut with a lathe, and then that lacquer can be made directly into the stamper that stamps the records. That's what's called the one-step process, or more typically, there's these sort of in-between processes where they plate it. I think it's silver that they put it in a bath. There's electricity involved, and then like magnetically the silver like coats this and coats it in such detail that it gets every detail of every little groove in there. And so they peel that off or whatever, and that thing's the father. That's the negative of the lacquer that was cut. And then they can plate the father to make a mother. That's the negative of the father, and then they can plate the mother to make a stamper. And so each father can make many mothers, and each mother can make many stampers. So if you use that multi-step process, one set of lacquers can make for lots of stampers, and each stamper can press something like 1,000 records. So you can make many thousands of records just with one cut. And this is still underground music, I suppose, but like, it's certainly gotten more popular over the years, and I feel like there's got to be many tens of thousands of these that have been made. And so the idea that 40 years later they can still go back and get some juice, they can still squeeze that and get some juice out of it, that's kind of unbelievable. It does beg the question, does this suffer for quality for that reason? Like, are they going, was it a bad idea to reference that original stuff, or should they recut it? Would that make for a better sounding record? And I think it's kind of mixed results. What I would say is that this is noisier than you normally expect from RTI. And I suspect that goes back to the metal parts they're using. The fathers, the father that they're referencing, that they're accessing to make a new mother, to make new stampers. Probably something like that is how they're handling it. That stuff 40 years later is maybe dirty, maybe not in perfect condition anymore. Maybe ideally, by the book, so to speak, you shouldn't use it anymore. And it's making for records that there's some background noises that you wouldn't expect. Anyway, I can only guess as to the nature of that, but I cleaned these. And it's not like they're horribly noisy, but there's just some stuff here and there where it's like, that's weird. I wouldn't expect that from an RTI record. But what I like about it is that I do like that you're just accessing that original mastering. And not that this is a great sounding record, like the guitars were recorded direct, super low budget. So it's not like this is some pristine audiophile thing. But I do like that it's still just the original thing. They presumably sent it off for mastering and got test pressings back and approved that or not, or maybe made suggestions, and like that was that final product they came up with in 1984 when they released this. It's still the same thing, and so that's what I like about it. Could something better sounding be made today? I don't know. It's maybe not that important. Anyway, so I think I find this all kind of interesting. I find it fascinating that they continue to use the same mastering. It begs the question: could that be more common? Would that be maybe better? That if instead of making new cuts from questionable sources, couldn't labels looking to reissue stuff, couldn't they perhaps access the metal parts from years ago? I mean, probably in a lot of cases they don't exist, but I just wonder if that avenue is ever pursued, and maybe that could be fruitful. Maybe that'd be a good idea. All right, so that is Zen Arcade. From everything I've ever read about this, Bob Mould and the estate of Grant Hart and Greg Norton are not getting a single dime from this. I've always heard that SST is not providing accounting. They're not paying anybody. This is all just to line SST's pockets, and I'm sure that Greg Ginn's not rich either. But that's what I. So this is not exactly like a well-respected company at this point, but that's who puts it out. I wonder why Husker Du, and maybe it's just because of Husker Du's internal dynamics, but I wonder why they haven't been able to sort of reclaim their catalog from them. Other SST bands have: Meat Puppets, Dinosaur Jr., Sonic Youth, Soundgarden. A lot of these bands have just reclaimed it and started doing their own reissues, and SST doesn't do it anymore. But Husker Du, this stuff still comes out on SST, and it's still the same mastering as of now. I got another one here. This one is no longer the original mastering, which again I find that interesting. Why did they never recut Husker Du, but they have recut Double Nickels? This is a 2008 remastering. So they cut new lacquers in 2008. Some guy named David Chepa or something like that. It's no longer the K-Disc, original K-Disc mastering. It's this other mastering from 2008. Chris Prophy made a video a while back excitedly talking about how he got his hands on a copy finally, and how weirdly this was always out of stock on the website, except every once in a while it would show up as being in stock and then almost immediately disappear again, and glasses are crooked. So when this popped up and I saw it, I jumped on it and was disappointed to see that it's not the original mastering, and imagined that I might just make a rip and then sell this. I was pleasantly surprised that the mastering sounds awesome. This sounds really fantastic. I'm one of those dorks who thinks about did they cut it from tape or not. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. It sounds great. It's definitely does that magic thing that sounds like it's jumping out of the speakers. So this is really cool. This is also tip-on jacket, not pressed at RTI, this particular pressing at least. But interesting that they recut the Minutemen, didn't recut Zen Arcade. Does that mean they don't have the tapes anymore? Does that mean, what does it all mean? I don't know. Can only speculate. But these are the kinds of thoughts that cross my mind when I notice all these details. Another thing I got recently was the first 4 years. This is a 12-inch compilation of a bunch of early 7-inches. I actually got this in error. I got this conflated with, there's another compilation called Everything Went Black, which is a bunch of previously unreleased recordings. Like in the Nervous Breakdown sessions, that was the only thing that was ever officially released with Keith Morris. And this is one of the best records ever made, Nervous Breakdown, in my opinion. But Keith Morris recorded something like 9 or so songs in these sessions. So I think Gimme Gimme Gimme, and a lot of the stuff that we got to know through different singers, Keith Morris originally sang them and recorded them, and that's on that comp. But I mixed it up with this. I got this instead. I'm glad to have this though. But I emailed them and I'm like, oh shit, I ordered the wrong thing, and then no response, and they just sent it to me. So whatever. At some point, I'll get that other one. Um, okay, so yeah, I just kind of wanted to share those thoughts that that Husker Du stuff from SST is still the original mastering. Just amazing, you know, and that's got its pluses and minuses. It's great to just hear it as it was originally made. You can that they're still making that today, how it was originally made, but it could be that that it suffers a little bit. That there's maybe some extra noise in there that you might not have if they were to make a new cut. So you know, there's pluses and minuses. There's trade-offs with everything, but that's what you get when you order this these days. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.